天启篇，天启篇，天启篇前言, preface to the chapter on Revelations, by Xiefeng. The spirit Tao of the greatest creator and the universe are inseparable, just as the earth and life are intertwined. The human body's organs, blood and marrow, sensory organs, hair, and consciousness are also interconnected as a whole. The greatest creator has never engaged in direct conversations with any individual in human-created languages. However, this does not mean that the greatest creator is distant from humanity. The greatest creator is constantly in dialogue with humans, but the form of communication is not through our human languages. Instead, it occurs through the language of the greatest creator. All things in the natural world are the language of the greatest creator, and all phenomena in nature are the utterances of the greatest creator. The sun, moon, stars, rivers, lakes, oceans, wind, clouds, rain, snow, humans, animals, birds, insects, trees, flowers, mountains, rocks, and the earth itself are all the language of the greatest creator. The movements of celestial bodies, the rushing of rivers, the roaring of the sea, the changing of weather, the falling of rain and snow, the shifting of seasons, the growth and decline of living beings, including the chirping of insects, the calls of birds, the shouts of humans, the neighing of horses, earthquakes, floods, thunderstorms, and lightning are all the speech of the greatest creator. Everything that humans perceive through their eyes, ears, nose, tongue, and body is the language and speech of the greatest creator. To understand the language of the greatest creator and comprehend his speech, one cannot rely solely on sight, hearing, smell, taste, and touch. It requires spiritual perception, but spiritual perception alone is not enough. Wisdom is also necessary. Without spiritual perception, we will never understand the language and speech of the greatest creator, and without wisdom, we will never grasp what the greatest creator is saying. Having spiritual perception alone without wisdom, we can only sense the presence of the greatest creator, but cannot accurately understand the workings of the greatest creator's spirit Tao. In other words, we may only know that we are destined to live and destined to die, but we are unclear about the reasons why we exist and why we must face death. This is referred to as knowing the what, but not knowing the why. Having wisdom alone, without spiritual perception, we cannot truly perceive the existence of the greatest creator. We can only rely on accumulated human knowledge, experience, lessons, rigorous logical reasoning, and scientific experiments to uncover some mysteries of the universe, nature, and life. In other words, we may understand why we live and why we die, but we cannot comprehend the ultimate reasons behind the necessity of life and death. This is referred to as knowing the why, but not knowing the what. With the exception of a very small number of individuals who possess both spiritual perception and wisdom, generally speaking, religious figures have spiritual perception but lack wisdom, while scientists have wisdom but lack spiritual perception. The majority of the general population, who fall between these two categories, lack both spiritual perception and wisdom. They merely exist blindly, living their lives without a clear sense of purpose. The chapter of Revelations is the divine revelation given to me by the greatest creator. Before completing the chapters on unconventional thinking, the greatest creator, universe, time and space, humanity and human life, self-improvement, self-cultivation, and physical and spiritual healthcare, it is necessary to first complete Revelations. However, considering that Revelations directly involves the mysteries and secrets of the universe, it could pose significant risks if known by individuals with malicious intentions. It is akin to nuclear weapons. If in the hands of peace-loving individuals, they can deter those who seek to cause war and unrest, instill fear in them, and prevent their recklessness. But if controlled by evil individuals, humanity will suffer greatly. Jesus warned me, "Do not give holy things to dogs, nor cast pearls before swine." The Buddha enlightened me, "Speak for the Mahayana practitioners." The spirit of Laozi advised me, "Tao, when obtained by a noble person, becomes the foundation of their self-cultivation, while when obtained by a petty person, it is treated lightly and without reverence for life. What should I do? I must heed the admonitions of gods, Buddhas, and immortals. However, in the vast sea of humanity, it is impractical for me to individually seek out noble individuals who practice the Mahayana path. Moreover, time is limited, and I don't have much time to patiently guide each person. Therefore, I have no choice but to follow the doctrine of the mean and adopt a middle path. I will conceal the mysteries and secrets beneath the surface of phenomena, only hinting at them. This way, those who possess spirituality and wisdom can see beyond the surface, transcend the vastness, and more easily discover the gems and gold beneath the earth's surface. As for the rest of the people, they will be like what Jesus said. Though seeing, they do not see. Though hearing, they do not hear or understand. In addition to Revelations and the other mentioned chapters, there is another chapter in Life of Changyuan called the Preaching of the Tao. This chapter is entirely different from the Tao Te Ching, and it can be said without exaggeration that the wisdom contained in the preaching of the Tao far surpasses that of the Tao Te Ching. For instance, when it comes to beings who are destined for or already in hell, Jesus' attitude is, lest they repent and be forgiven. On the other hand, in Buddhism, Bodhisattva Ksitigarbha vows, I vow to save all sentient beings in the world, and I will not enter the Elysium world until hell is empty. Who is right and who is wrong? Whose guidance should we ultimately follow? Preaching of the Tao specifically addresses such challenging questions. However, the timing is not ripe at the moment. Only when Life of Changyuan is widely accepted by all human beings can preaching of the Tao be shared openly. It is similar to constructing a building where exquisite chandeliers cannot be hung until the main structure is completed. Laozi said, when the highest type of followers hears Tao, the truth, they try hard to live in accordance with it. When mediocre types hear Tao, they seem to be aware and yet unaware of it. When the lowest types hear Tao, they break into loud laughter. If it is not laughed at, it is not Tao. Regarding the chapter of Revelations, those who understand will discern its true essence, while those who do not will merely spectate. Apart from that, I have nothing else to discuss. 人生需要一条跑道. Life needs a track. Xiefeng. February 27th, 2007. Edited by Kayer. Many talented people living among us appear to be mediocre, not because they are of low intelligence or not gifted, but because they have either not found their own tracks or they have taken the wrong ones. Everyone has unlimited potential, but the main reason for not having given play to their potential is not because they are born stupid or have insufficient mental skills, but because they have never found their best life track from start to finish. No matter how excellent an aircraft is, it will never fly if there is no runway. For an aircraft with no runway will never be more than a pile of metal. No matter how much potential an excellent sprinter or long-distance runner has, his or her talents would remain buried without a racetrack, knowing not whether they are a mediocre horse or a swift horse until death. Life needs a track, and battlefields, business markets, officialdom, farms, and social realms all have lots of them. We must choose the track that best suits us, because it is only with the right track that we can give full play to our talents. Generals Eisenhower and Patton demonstrated their outstanding military talents because they had the track of war, but if there had been no tracks of war, who would even know their names? Zhu Jun, Yang Lan, and Ai Ping, and others have become the focus of millions of people, sparkling with brilliance, simply because they shared the track of television. Who would they otherwise be? Jet Li and Andy Lau rose to fame far and wide simply because of the track of movies. Throughout the history of Communist Party of China, many outstanding politicians, strategists, and diplomatic talents have emerged, and many commoners became generals. It was because they took the track of the communist movement that they had brilliant lives. But without this track, their talents would have been drowned in life's ocean. Many people turned onto this track and formed the backbone of the state, and many others became millionaires or even billionaires because they took the business track after China's reform. When it opened up, and they gained much wealth, but what would their lives be like today without this track? Nobody knows. Many eminent Buddhist monks showed their superior wisdom because they followed the track of Buddhism. If you want to make something out of life, you must choose a track that suits your personality because you cannot give play to your talents without the right track. Without the correct track, you will drown in the crowd. The internet is a track, and many people are shining with brilliance upon it, creating their own blogs and gathering their own social connections. A large number of authors, writers, critics, and practitioners are emerging on this track and are demonstrating their talents. You have to find your track, but if you do not see the proper one, you should build your own. Why? Because you will play better, be better at the game of life, and make your life more colorful. Do not pretend to be aloof and say that you are too good to engage in this, because that would be finding excuses for your incompetence and failures. A soldier who does not want to be a general is never a good soldier. A life that does not want to have a glorious course is never a good life. If you want to make big money, be the boss, for being the boss is the track to making the most money. And if you want to be an official, build your social connections, for building social connections is the track to being an official. There are numerous tracks and they are everywhere, but if you want to play your talents to the maximum, you will have to choose a track with infinite prospect. If you choose a good track, you can have a good life, but if you choose a bad track, you can only have a bad life. Zhang Guotao abandoned the track of the Communist Party and eventually, unknowingly froze to death. On the other hand, Deng Xiaoping stuck with the track of the Communist Party and eventually had his wishes fulfilled. If you choose polishing shoes, then you will unconsciously be on the track of polishing shoes. If you choose to steal, then you will unconsciously be on the track of crime. If you choose to reap without sowing, then you will, over time, get on a greedy, selfish, and parasite track. If you choose a mass movement, you will be on the track of confronting the government. If you choose Life Genuine, then you are naturally taking on the track of trekking and climbing to the highest realm of life and life. Which is the best track? It depends on you. You must choose your track completely on your own. The best track is one that you can follow for a lifetime. Tracks can be regularly replaced if they are not good, because some tracks have no futures and lead to dead ends with steep precipices. You will have to sharpen your eyes to think and judge. Some tracks seem narrow and bumpy at first, but the more you walk on them, the broader, brighter, and more brilliant they become, while others look broad, densely populated, and big. Yet the more you walk on them, the more your feet hurt. You become confused and frustrated, and the narrower and darker they become. If you have the ability to rule a country, the ambition to ride on top of the world, and have both superintelligence and indomitable willpower, then you had better build your own track. If you do not, then you can borrow others' ready-made tracks. For example, instead of creating your own blogs with few hits, you might want to promote your ideas and display your talents on another's website or bulletin board. Instead of creating your own website with painstaking care and precision, yet having no visitors, you might as well demonstrate your skills on someone else's websites. Once you have chosen your track, you must not give it up too easily, for giving up means failure. Remember, 1,000 sails pass by the shipwreck and 10,000 saplings thrive beyond the withered tree. No one will sympathize with you if you fail. At most, they will express regrets and pity. Once you find that your track has no future, you must give it up as soon as possible and try to blend onto the track with the most brilliant prospects at once. Because if you bite the bullet and play hard, you will only miss your opportunity and then grieve it for a lifetime. Remember, the earth will rotate the same, with or without you. A life needs a track. As long as the route is right, you can stride ahead. I hope you follow your splendid life track. 人生的主次先后，轻重缓急 Priorities, the order of importance, and the emergence of life. By Xie Feng. From the long-term perspective, we know that each life lasts for only a fleeting moment. Regardless of how capable we might be, we are incapable of escaping our inexorable doom. How to spend this fleeting life is a question deserving our serious consideration and discussion. Look at life from the perspective of life. Life is only a journey, a flash of light in the infinite time and space of life. Since life is so transient, we need to explore the routes and risks of our journey. What kind of life is the most beautiful? As we are all people, we must first consider how to be people. The greatest creator of the universe, created us and meant for us to be people, not ghosts, devils, celestial beings, Buddhas, or gods. If we surrender our humanness to devote our life, time, and energy to becoming higher forms, then we are doing it against the will of the greatest creator. It is only when we first conduct ourselves as people living by the will of the greatest creator that we can hope to attain Buddhahood at the end of our life's journey. It is as if the boss of a company hires someone to be a clerk. The clerk's purpose is to dedicate his efforts toward his own duty, not to ask his boss to consider him to be a section chief. Because it is only after he performs his clerk's duties well that the company boss should offer him the opportunity to be promoted to the position of section chief. The intent of the greatest creator in creating us is to enjoy life and not to make us suffer at all. Because for human beings, the greatest creator is love, great love. I do not worship men of the hour or heroes who gallop on a battlefields, nor do I worship those great people who are admired by the masses, or the ordinary people who become Buddhas and gods of the mortal world. I only pay tribute to ordinary, simple, honest, and hardworking people because those people's lives conform to the way of being mankind. Those who sacrifice their present life pleasures to focus on grace after death do so against Tao. The moralization, teachings that people can only obtain well-being after going through affliction and suffering definitely leads them astray. The preaching that asks people to cultivate achievements with intensity, regardless of their family responsibilities, in an attempt to attain special magical powers and arts to glorify the mortal world is questionable. Could it be the devil's temptation? The practice of hyping celebrities, successful figures, distinguished scientists, outstanding entrepreneurs, millionaires, experts, emperors, great men, and heroes will prove to be disturbing, causing people to crowd onto the single-plank bridge and to forget the meaning of life. The benevolent see benevolence, and the wise see wisdom. Life Achanuan preaches that the ordinary life is the best life. Life's priorities and orders of importance and emergence should be as follows. The paramount thing in life is to revere the greatest creator, which mainly embodies